right, after a couple trials and error, I got my brother Scott here. I think we met probably about a year ago.
At Crunch Fitness, I think.
About a year ago.
Yeah.
I know we talked about it, and weirdly enough, I've had this conversation in the last couple of weeks, where like you have like a time slot sometimes, on like opportunities, and like once the window closes, it's kind of like hard to kind of get back, but things like this, it's like gravitation, it's just like alignment. We talked about doing a podcast before. If I would have hit you the next day, maybe called you like, hey, just do the podcast, we might have already
would have been done by now, yeah.
But sometimes that time slot, But anyway, we met about a year ago. This guy, great guy, he's been in real estate since when?
Started in 2018.
2018?
Yeah.
Okay. We talked about having a podcast about it before. Now we get a chance to do this. So just to kind of just start, when did you get into real estate?
I started real estate in 2018. So I was working for corporate America. I didn't love the industry I was in, and I just figured there's got to be a better way than living check to check, bill to bill. So I did a few real estate deals and was able to make enough money to quit my job. So after that, I went full time into real estate.
Now, did you have family, friends, anybody helped you kind of like walk you, or guide you into the door, or you just kind of like leaped in?
And I'm glad you're asking these questions because we don't know each other very well. So you're asking these like without even knowing, any of this beforehand. But to answer your question, no. I wish I did, but I'm also glad that I didn't because it kind of gives you the skill sets to learn everything that you need rather than things just being handed to you.
Yeah.
So I'm glad you asked that, but no, I didn't. I didn't have any friends or connections in real estate when I got into it. The only experience I had was, I guess I didn't have any experience. YouTube and Google, man. That's how I learned pretty much everything I know in real estate. I did hire a few mentors along the way, so that helped, escalate my knowledge. And I'm in a mentoring program now for new development, building houses in the millions of dollars.
Who was your mentor like to start with?
The one I'm using now, his name is Eric Crutchfield. So I just enrolled in his program a couple months ago. So the program idea is like, our business model is we buy houses, fix them up and resell them or rent them out or whatever. And Eric's program is buy a house, rip it down, and then build a new one. It's a lot more fun, it sounds like, to do that because everything's brand new. You hire professionals that know what they're doing. It's just a business model that I like better and I gravitate towards better. As long as there's a market for it, which there's not locally that I'm aware of to do that model in Erie, Pennsylvania. It's more bigger metro areas like Charlotte or Dallas or Miami, those types of places.
Now so I got long, deep, in-depth questions, and I also have like shorter questions.
Yeah. Like
some of the questions. And just to get back, guys, I know it's been a long time since we did an episode. I think it was DJ Saul was in Vegas. I know I've been a little bit distant, but we're gonna get right back to it. I'm excited to have you on here because with both podcasts, I've talked a lot about credit, talked a lot about business, but we never had anybody on here to really talk about real estate.
Yeah.
That has any properties to go into detail. And I'm just kind of excited for that. So, would you prefer the in-depth questions first, or would you prefer like the short and simple?
You tell me. It doesn't matter to me. Short and simple first, and as we go, we can get more in depth.
All right. So my first question here is, what is this one? What was your exact first real estate deal?
First deal was in Providence, Rhode Island. I lived in Massachusetts, and my first deal was on the border my Massachusetts and Rhode Island border each other.
Yeah.
And where I lived in a town called Fall River, Massachusetts. And my first deal ever was I put a house under contract, and then I was able to resell the property for a profit of $5,000. That's all I did. Bought it for like $130 and resold it for $139 or something like that. And after closing costs, I made about $5,000. So in one deal, I used none of my own money. We did a double escrow and a double close. So
for people that don't know what that means, what does that mean?
There's two ways. The real estate laws have changed quite a bit, but back in 2018, it depends on the state that you're in and how you can do deals. But This is a term called wholesaling. So the first deal I did was a wholesale deal. But I found a motivated seller, and then I put the property under contract to purchase it with the intent to resell. And there's ethical ways and unethical ways of doing that, because this industry gets a lot of hate on doing that. But we do it the correct way, which is disclosure, transparency of what we're doing with the customer. So the first deal, I put under contract for like roughly, I can't remember the exact numbers. It's like 125 or 130 somewhere in there.
Okay.
And it was a 2-unit, a problem property for the customer, the guy that we're buying it from. And then I found another buyer for $5,000 or $10,000 more and just resold it to them. Double escrow, there's 2 ways to do it. A is you assign the contract in exchange for an assignment fee. So if you have a contract to buy a house for $130,000 and somebody else is willing to pay $135,000, you can just pay. You can assign your interest in the contract to the other party for a $5,000 fee. The other way to do it is you just take title of the property and then resell it to somebody else. When I say take title, it just means you own the property for a minute and then.
So you almost like playing like the middleman.
That's it.
The middleman.
That's it. Just like Walmart's the middleman for products.
Give me a little piece. You give me a little piece of it, and then it kind of like upsell it.
That's it.
So, but I think you answered that question. Then my second question I had, which was how much money did you start with? And you started with 0, right?
Right.
And that's the biggest misconception, is that people think you need money to, especially even myself, think you need money to start flipping properties, when sometimes you just need 0. Now, starting from the scratch, so when you kind of like dived into it, you started with 0 money, but was your credit like A1, or you just kind of like found a property, you found somebody that already wanted to put the money down, but you just middleman it and upsold it, or?
Pretty much. That's the simple way to put it. I didn't have any money or credit when I started. At this point, I do, because I've been doing it long enough.
Yeah.
But when I started, no, I didn't. I was 22 years old when I started, and I probably had.
You started early. Okay.
I had $70,000 of debt from college, and I had $1,500 a month in rent payments, or $1,200 a month rent payments, and my car payment was X amount. So I think I'd come up with $3,000 every month just to live.
Yeah.
And then I could start paying, feeding myself. So that was the position I was in, and because it sucked so bad, that's why I switched from trying to work in a career to I got to do something else. So I didn't have money, but I had motivation. So I worked really hard. I would either pull lists that were pretty cheap to get, so a couple bucks, so less than $100 is basically what I started with. Pull lists. I would cold call, ask people if they wanted to sell their home. People would say, "No, fuck you! Like, don't call me." I get a lot of that. So that's really how I started.
Now, was it
doing
the people that were kind of like, are those are the houses where they were kind of like in debt, already, like the house was for auction or something was already going on, they're just behind on whatever? Usually,
yeah. So most of the customers have some form of debt on the property, whether it's a mortgage or a lien or a judgment. So yeah, a lot of houses do have that, and then some of the houses are owned free and clear, but it's kind of a mixed basket.
Did you have any friends that was in real estate at the time, or just you?
Nope.
Just diving in.
None.
I'm just winging it.
YouTube, man.
And you started early, bro. Like 22 years old,
Yeah.
like just jumping in. You started it earlier than the majority, like they going to get a head start on it. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna do the short, simple answers, but then I'm going to do the in-depth answers. So this is going to be one of those. If you were starting from 0 today with no properties, what's the exact first step that you would take into flipping houses? I know you answered a little bit of it.
Yeah,
what would be the first, like, all right, you know what, I'm off the couch right now, I don't know nothing, and but I'm going to walk out this door and I'm going to go get my first property.
Yeah, if I don't know anything, I would probably just start with YouTube to learn. My first mentor was Phil Pustiowski it's called Freedom Mentor, and that's how I learned a lot on YouTube. I had a few different mentors, a local one, a couple online, and a couple of local ones. So I had quite a few mentors that learned a lot. So how I really learned about real estate was I would take a deal to my mentor and say, hey, in exchange for working on this deal together, would you just show me what to do? So that's probably what I would do. I would probably just redo the same thing that I did before without any knowledge. Like, I would just say,
YouTube will teach you everything.
YouTube teaches a lot. So
YouTube teaches, but there is the misconception again. There's good ways and bad ways to YouTube.
There's you're right. 100%.
All right, let's go to the second question. What separates people who are actually succeed in real estate and flipping from people who fail and quit?
People that are hungry.
People that are hungry?
Absolutely. Yep. So when I got started, I was super hungry because again, I had to pay $3,000 a month just to keep my head above water.
Yeah.
You know, and I was in a ton of debt, and for me that was painful.
Where'd you go to school at?
Penn State Barron.
Oh, right up the street. Oh,
Yeah. Yeah. So I was hungry, man. I hated debt. I hate debt. I hate personal debt.
Yeah.
I hate financial struggle. I don't like it, and that was a big motivator for me. A lot of people that have got in the business that I knew that fell out of the business, I don't want to say they had it easier, but I did notice that as a general, if we're being, cliff notes. So if somebody doesn't have the motivation, doesn't have the drive, and versus somebody like myself or other people I know that have been successful, is they're very driven people. Something that motivates them. Yeah.
Okay, let's get into the third question, guys. Okay. How do you find deals before everyone else finds them?
So now I use...
everybody's they're on the hunt.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, that's right. Now I use TV. That's my main form of advertising. So TV, I think, is the most powerful marketing tool. I've switched recently from broadband TV to digital TV, which is like YouTube, Hulu, Netflix, those types of channels, more target customers, not have to spend so much money. But I think TV is probably the most powerful marketing tool for our business at this time. Okay.
So like this day, like I think we talked about it before, like whether you look at the basement or the attic first. Then we agreed on the basement. How do you determine what's like? I call you up, hey Scott, is this a good or a bad deal? Like,
how do you determine if it's a good or a bad deal? It's price.
Price
every time.
Yeah.
Yep. Because let's talk about like the Lower East Side. It's an absolute rundown house that's in terrible condition, ridden with mold. Utilities are off. It's junk. It borderline should be torn down.
Yeah.
There's a few deals that you should it's not a deal, you should just walk away from it. But let's say, for example, you find a really crappy property on the Lower East Side, which is the lowest priced part of Erie, Pennsylvania. If you can buy it for $5,000 and resell it for $25,000, there's a $20,000 margin there. So, but if somebody's trying to sell you a $25,000 property for $50,000, like it's not a good deal. You know what I mean? So it's always price.
So when you think about like houses, because you said, I don't know if I'm accurate or not, you said you have 20 properties right now?
Yes.
Now, how many of those properties are they all like people are already in those, renting those properties?
Yep.
So did you start by, let's say, when you look at a property, do you decide like right there and then if you're gonna just flip this property or if you're gonna put this in the rent? Because what's is it more money in it to play the long run or to flip the property?
It's a great question. The exit strategy is kind of unique to the needs of the seller for my business model. So what that means is based off of the person we're buying the home from, based off their needs, whether it's price, the terms that you negotiate, the condition that the house is in, every deal is different. And I don't always know what we're going to do with the property until I've done my what's called due diligence. In other words, homework on it to figure out what am I going to do with this house. So it's not always clean, cut, and dry. So to answer your question, I think the short answer is no, I don't know what I'm going to do with it the first time I go on the property. As you get familiar with it in the neighborhood, you can kind of determine a good exit strategy. But with the houses that I own now that I bought, they were not, there's maybe one that was rented or two that were rented when I bought it. And then I've placed pretty much the majority of the tenants that I have in all my properties. I don't think there's any tenant that's in any of my properties that I have not placed.
So how many houses, your first house was a flip, how many houses was it until you just started to rent it out?
Probably 20 to 30 properties I've resold before I bought one to hold on to.
So you were just flipping them.
Yeah.
Getting the money.
I had no money.
Yeah, I need to flip them first. And then I'm like, okay, I'm comfortable, like.
Yeah,
okay.
So, probably my 20th or 30th property somewhere in there is about the time I was like, all right, maybe I should hold one of these.
This is a good question because it's not in my list, but I just thought about it. And I don't know if it's at all accurate, but they're saying, and I have my opinion on it too, where for apartments, you go to do your thing, credit check, everything. they want you to pay 3 times. They want you to have 3 times the amount to get into the apartment. Now, from what I see on social media news, they're saying that you're not going to need that 3 times the amount. Is that something that you look when you have a tenant applying, is for them to make 3 times the amount? And
yeah,
because I understand, because you want them to be able to afford their bills, and like, oh, you know what? If they make 3 times the amount, I'm not gonna have to really worry about them not paying on time.
So it depends on the underwriting criteria of the tenant.
Yeah.
So if, let's say it's a Section 8 tenant, their underwriting criteria might be different than a traditional self-paid tenant. And the self-paid tenant might be different than a student tenant.
Section 8 automatically just...
Well, yeah, you still have to underwrite the tenant based off of what Section 8 allows for the rent, which is a whole thing to get into, and I'm not as well versed because I have Section 8 tenants, but the underwriting criteria is different for a Section 8 tenant than it might be for like a student housing tenant.
Right.
So, and there's fair housing to be compliant with, and it's a whole thing that I'm not an expert in.
Yeah.
I'm in real estate, I'm not an expert in fair housing. I just know some of the laws, and some things you got to Google because you don't know everything. But yes, the majority of the time, you want to make sure our underwriting criteria is that the tenant needs to make 3 times the rent in order to qualify, and they've been at their place of employment for at least a year or more.
Yeah.
We can try to make exceptions to that rule, but generally those are good underwriting guidelines, is that they make 3 times the rent. So it's fair on both sides. The way you're not putting somebody in a home that they can't afford, and on the other side, you're not going to be put in a jeopardizing position either.
You find a lot of problems with like Section 8 houses?
I actually prefer Section 8.
Yeah?
Yeah, I love it. I think it's great.
It's probably less of a hassle. Now, I know there's a lot of... here's another question. This is off the top of my head. Do you have any houses that you have Airbnb or anything like that? Do you prefer it, not prefer it?
Yeah, I had one building that I Airbnb'd, and it was really cool. It was like this cathedral vaulted ceiling, super tall log cabin. Really cool place. And I was like, I'd like to keep this. It's a cool building, you know. It's really cool. Out in the middle of the woods, had like 12 acres of land, a pole barn, 2-car garage, really sweet property. But it just didn't make enough money to justify keeping it because the time it takes every time to even go to the property. It's a half hour to get there, a half hour to get back, and at least a half hour worth of time. So every time you visit the property, which you have to frequently with Airbnb, in this case, it's at least 1-2 hour commitment for each time you have to visit the property. So it just didn't make sense in this deal. So I just resold that one. Airbnb, I think, is good. It can make good money. I think in Erie, the opportunity is on the lake, where you have like the lake views and stuff. But when it comes to Airbnb, I don't really care for it because I just don't see the math.
That's more. That's kind of like one of my questions. You see, you see it on all the time. That and my biggest thing when I'm going like, okay, let's say I get this property, then I have this tenant, this shit tenant that, whether it's just a bad tenant that won't move. You know, like or whatever. I'm trying to get them out of the house. You know, whether they're not paying. You know, because I see on TV all the time. You know, be like they have guys that's been there for 4 or 5 months. This house sitting. Yeah. You're trying to get them out of the house. Have you had those type of problems?
Pennsylvania is a little bit more friendly than some of the other states. That's a bigger problem, in like California. So it's probably more specifically Erie, Pennsylvania. I think our court system overall, it's not perfect, but overall is pretty good when it comes to dealing with that type of stuff. Usually we negotiate cash for keys if we ever run into that issue, which I have run into that issue. Squatters in the properties, what you're asking for. Yeah, it just means that I'm going to trade the person that lives in the home cash in exchange for possession. We call it an agreement.
You're going to give them money to get out of the house.
Because here's the deal.
Because people will take the money. Yeah, give me $1,000. I'll leave.
Exactly, because I make that deal to them. I'm like, I'll give you $1,000 because I'm going to pay my attorney too, and then you're not going to get anything. I'll pay my attorney $2,000 and then $100 in court costs, and you're going to get ejected, or I'll give you $1,000 and you can leave, and then we sign an agreement for possession with them, and that's enforceable.
Okay, I got another question. Make it a little bit simpler for you.
Keep it easy.
Let me see, cause I got a bunch of questions I had here. I only had a couple of questions that I already like.
I like the energy that you got.
What are the biggest red flags that you look for when walking through a property?
When walking through a property, you care about the structural things, mechanical, electrical, plumbing. Those are the big things. And then structural will be foundation and roof.
Yeah.
Those are the big things. Everybody likes to see square walls, square floors, everything nice and neat and well maintained. The reality is, the reason they're calling us is because there's a problem they need to fix that it basically is going to get put on your hands to fix it. So, but biggest red flags, I would actually say it's not specific to the house, it's specific to the seller. Okay. And the seller trying to hide something from you.
Yeah, you know?
That's actually the bigger red flag.
You got all this mold here, but we don't want you to know about
it. Yeah. You can tell, I mean, so we really just have to price that into the offer or into the discussion of what we can buy the house for. So whenever there's clearly something that's hidden, you know, some places like the room that we're in, this is like a nice room, everything's pretty square, the drywall's got good quality finishes. You don't really need to be concerned about things like this, but you walk into a house where the floors are wavy and, you know, you can smell it's musty and you ask questions and they're not truthful, you just kind of have to price in whatever. Okay. But that's kind of the biggest red flag is whenever somebody's trying to hide something from you. They're seeing the exact same thing.
What do you think was your absolute worst deal, nightmare deal?
Nightmare deal I lost like $30,000 on because of a title issue. I didn't do a title search on it when I bought it. And a title issue is title is basically the deed and anything that attaches to that deed. So and how the deed is conveyed. It's very complicated legal terms. And it's boring for people to listen to, but because I bought the property directly from the seller and didn't have them sign their name, administrator of an estate. The estate argued that we didn't buy the property properly, and they would have won because we didn't have their name spelled properly on a deed. That's it.
You lost $30,000.
$30,000 on that deal. So I could have just let it go and come no matter your pocket, because there are ways to do this business. But that was the unethical route. Would have been to just default and let the situation dissolve. But because I'm an ethical person, I put a person in the home that I rent to own the property to. And to honor my word with the tenant that I put in there, this guy's got a girlfriend with his kids in the home. Like, how do you tell somebody, and this is what ate me apart, this is like the worst part, is because I'm a man of my word. Like, if I tell you I'm going to do something, I'm going to do everything in my power to honor it. I could have just let the estate that I bought the property from take it back and then screw the other person out of it, but I'm not the type of person. I was like, all right, fine, you got me. Here's an extra $30,000. And then I honor my word with the guy that I sold the property to, so he didn't have to come out of pocket any extra money. That was my worst nightmare deal.
To lose $30,000 is like flabbergasted. That'd be hot.
It was terrible. Yeah.
30 bids.
It was terrible.
I'm mad if it was $30.
Yeah. I've lost money on plenty of real estate deals.
Let's get the next question. If someone wanted to own 10 to 20 properties in the next 5 to 10 years, what habits, skills, and strategies would they need to focus on right now?
So, if the goal is just to get an increase in the number of properties that you have, it is not very hard to do. Like, any Joe Blow can do it. The bigger question is 10 to 20 or 30 profitable, good quality properties is a different question. So the first one, not that hard. You just you work at your job, use your whatever money down to buy income properties, and that's it.
Yeah.
Pretty simple. To get really good quality properties is what I did. And for me, it was just a lot of work. It was a lot of knocking on doors. It was a lot of cold calling. So it was just a lot of work, really. That's the short answer.
And I apologize, guys, because it's in my background, and all I hear is ringing and this damn air conditioner stuff.
What number should you always calculate before buying?
Yeah.
Your profit.
Yeah, how much money I'm going to make on this.
Yeah.
Let's say I'm just going to make $5,000. Is it worth it?
Sure. I mean, depends on
how much time and energy you're going to put in.
It's not worth risking $250,000 to make $5,000.
Yes.
But it might be worth risking $10,000 or $20,000 to make $5,000. So.
10 bands, 10 bands.
Depends on the deal.
What's the fastest flip you ever had?
Oh.
Did you have to put any money in it?
Nope. That's the deal.
Bought it, sold it?
Wholesaling real estate. But yeah, back in the day, all I would do is Just buy houses and resell them immediately, pretty quick.
How fast you think you?
A week or two.
Yeah. How much money do you think you made on that one?
Like 5,000 or 10,000 per deal.
Hey, 5-10 bands for a week is cool.
Yeah, it's not hard.
How do you build a trustworthy contractor team?
That's a good question. It took me years to develop that. I have a pretty good team now. I like them a lot. Relationships are very important, just treating people well. How do you build a really good quality team is, number one, sorting through the bad quality contractors. Just get rid of them. Don't ever work with them again. Don't hire them again. The guys that are good, pay them quickly, pay them well. I pay a little above market for contractors. Most guys try to cheap out and then get, $15, $10 an hour guys, and I'm just like, it's just not sustainable.
Yeah.
So I pay, one of the guys who's on my job site right now is making $35 an hour. Some of the other guys is roughly the same.
What exactly does he do?
He's just doing basic stuff for construction, which is putting in doors, hanging light fixtures, replacing receptacle switches, lights. It's not rocket science stuff.
Yeah.
More specialized stuff like tile work or installing windows. All that stuff is all specialty stuff where it's not really by the hour. But yeah, treating people well, communicating clearly.
It's big with you guys because I seen somebody. Who's that real estate guy? I read one of his books.
Robert Kiyosaki.
Nope. You know what I'm talking about. He always talking shit and he be loud about it. He own a ton of properties. I thought I seen him. Older guy. What's his name? Hold on. I hope it didn't. No, I'm still rolling. What is his name? I know you know what I'm talking about. Got a little white and whatever. Anyway, more of the story is that he was like, how many people you got to fire this year? He was like, man, I'm always firing people. He was like, you think you're doing a good job? He was like, yeah, I think I'm doing a good job. I'm just shooting shit at people. And the biggest thing that I took from that was, if you want to keep people, pay them.
Yeah.
Respect them. If you start a business, if you start any business and you want to bring on trustworthy people, you got to think that this is your passion. This is what you want to do. This is not what they want to do. They just say to get paid or whatever. But if you want them to love it, like you love it, pay it, value them. Instead of, I always see these jobs as just hiring. We find some point, whatever happened, emergency, they fire him because of whatever. But it was great. It was great. You can have somebody on your team for 20 years. Or maybe he's just something. I don't know. Maybe he got sick too much. I don't know what it is, or whatever. But you know what? I'm gonna just get rid of him, and I'm gonna just rehire somebody else that I can't even trust. But you had somebody that was great, and that's my biggest thing with people is the biggest thing that I took from that is that pay the people for their work, for their time and just value them, because if you don't, you gotta keep rehiring, and that gotta get exhausting.
It is exhausting. And that's, I take the opposite approach most people do, which is I try to find good quality people, treat them well, take care of them, and pay them well. So and pay quickly.
You pay people well, they're gonna come.
Yep.
And you pay them on time, they're gonna come.
And that's it. I mean, people are here to show up. Yeah, they might enjoy their work, but the more important thing is they got family to, they got a mouth to feed, So, just like me, people need to have an incentive to show up to the job site.
Yeah.
Because if they don't, then they're not going to show up.
They're not going to show up. What's the safest first real estate move for beginners?
Wholesaling. And if you're in Pennsylvania, you can't wholesale, but you can buy and sell real estate.
Now, your property is all in Pennsylvania?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Have you looked at shopping in other places?
Yep.
What's the I don't know if you said New York or upstate or just something. Do you like the laws for property taxes and everything here in Pennsylvania?
I hear our property taxes are high, but I don't have a ton of experience outside of Erie, Pennsylvania to know relatively how much higher they are. There's one of the properties I have is assessed for like $120,000, and the taxes are $3,000 a year. I guess that is a lot. It is a lot.
Yeah.
I don't think people should have to pay that much in property taxes. Yeah, other states where property taxes may not exist, I don't know where that is. What was your question? I'm sorry.
No, that was
Something along property taxes or something like that.
Property taxes. How likable do you like the taxes? Taxes suck.
They do.
Yeah. What is it? Canada that doesn't pay? Who doesn't pay taxes? Vegas?
I don't know if it's Texas or Florida's considering doing it, but yeah, generally lower property taxes just means like the local area would get their tax revenue from a different source, whether it's gas or if it's something else. So it's like they get you one way or the other.
Canada got free health insurance? I don't know if I'm accurate. Maybe I just read on the internet.
Yeah, I don't know.
Is it Canada got free health insurance?
I don't know.
I mean, not free health insurance, but free health care. I think that's like, it's just wild. So you started, was it 2017, 2018?
Yeah, 2018 is when I did my first deal.
So what do you define like the biggest struggles, like that just coming from that, if, going to your younger self and looking back then and now, what do you find that was your biggest struggles to continue to keep, moving forward with flipping properties?
Keep moving would definitely be finding good quality deals. That's the hardest part of this real estate business. It's finding good deals. That's it. Yeah, because it's demotivating. Let's say you own a rental property. It's demotivating to go to that rental property and fix the problems if it's not making you any profit. But it's pretty motivating to go there like, oh, this thing's making me money. What can I go? You're more apt, I am more apt to go proactively take care of things for a property that is a profitable property. It's just natural human incentive. Like, we're incentivized to do things that reward us. Mm-hmm. We're de-incentivized to do things that don't reward us. And that's kind of the way I look at it, really. Finding good quality deals.
Good quality deals. All right, so this is one of my last questions, and I feel like it's a great question, and you guys should probably pay attention to this. Is when people come to apply, obviously you find your tenant, but when somebody is applying for one of your properties, what are like the 3-4 of the main things that are just must? Obviously one, you need to be able to pay for this.
Sure. Yeah.
What are like some of the key factors that you look at? Individual. You sit down with them like, okay, I'm looking at all of these things. What do I need to see?
Good question. The number one thing is you just got your head on straight. Yeah. You're an upstanding human being. For the most part, majority of my tenants, I don't think I have any bad tenants right now. I've got really good quality tenants. I'm very grateful to have like a good tenant base right now. Yeah. But yeah, if somebody's applying for a property, and I have a small, compared to some of my friends that have hundreds, if not thousands. I have a friend that has a couple thousand properties, and I have a friend that has a couple hundred properties. So it depends on who you ask, because they're all going to have different answers. Because I'm a smaller, more tight-knit operation. I like to have a good relationship with my tenants. Take care of them, they'll take care of you. That's really
there are shitty landlords out there.
Yeah.
There are great landlords. And then there are shitty landlords.
Because if you're a tenant, you have the right to, at least the way we look at it for our tenants, if the tenant puts in a maintenance request in our management software, we take care of it pretty much same day, if not next day. If there's an emergency like a water leak or something like that, we take care of it right away because we don't want something.
Weeks.
Yeah.
No shower. My buddy just no shower, no nothing for like 2 weeks. Had to go to the gym. I'm like, bro, come to his house, left dirt all over the crib.
Nasty.
Personally, and also I try to tell, it's friend landlord, but I was like, I don't give a shit if he's your friend, landlord, whatever. He shouldn't be trashing your house and leaving his house. Like, he's kind of treat.
That's something.
You gotta realize he might be your friend, but he's your landlord. He need to take care of this shit.
Yeah. That's something I also do not do, is rent to people that are friends of mine. Yeah. I try to separate that relationship. So it's a professional relationship, and it's not blended. I try not to blend those relationships.
Yeah. People, they don't take advantage of you, and I'm looking in without putting his business out there, they're just saying that, usually if you wanted to get out, he was in another property, and they were, he would take him to court and go all this. I was like, but you're going to go through hell. I was like, ain't that supposed to be your friend too? Like,
it's just not worth it.
I was like, he's doing you bad. Like, you paying all that.
Better to part ways.
It's just, You never know. You know, I like about you is that you said that you started, no one kind of like, you didn't have no family to help you get into this. Because I didn't know that about you.
Yeah.
I had assumed or whatever, not even assumed, but because I taught the people before I sit down with people.
Yeah.
Who is Scott? How do you know Scott or
Yeah.
whatever? Yo, where is Scott from? Is Scott a good dude, a bad dude?
Sure, yeah.
I sit down with everybody. I talk to people, and I had one bad seed. I won't mention the name. One bad seed that was like, Scott got everything handed to him. It was like his family.
Be nice if I did.
I was like, I had a conversation with one of my buddies today. He called me and he said he was talking about something, and I was like, listen, if somebody says they're doing something with you or whatever, sitting down on a podcast or has an opportunity, the first thing is negative. I was like, you gotta cut them off. I don't know, like, because they don't, or distance yourself from them because they don't even know these people, you know. Or like they say I had this great idea and you're like, I want to start a water company. He's like, why would you want to start a water company? I'm like, why the fuck am I kicking it with you? You know, I was like, your bad thing is negative. Maybe your shit is aligned for you. Maybe it's not even you. Maybe it's been the people around you. You need to get around better people and shit. You know, so like for instance, this saying shit because I'm an honest guy. So like when I had the conversation, I'm like, yeah, I got Scott coming through. I was like, I don't know if you know him, so I'm gonna have a podcast with him. Talk about real estate. He was like, hey, I can't teach you nothing to do now. I was like, it's not the reason that I'm having a podcast when I was like, this podcast is with people that I actually like and I want to bring on that can not only give me sauce, you know, but give somebody else the sauce that they're looking, you guys are looking to get into real estate business, you know, like these are the questions that I would ask. And but the first thing was like negative. It was like, nah, you don't need to do that. You know, I was like, you even know this dude? He's like, no, this is what I hear. I said, but why the fuck are you telling me?
There's negativity and positivity, man. I just try to put myself in environments that are positive.
Yeah. Why are you telling me about Scott, but you don't know Scott?
Yeah.
You know, you just what I heard. I said, I shouldn't even brought it up to you because were you trying to convince me not to go sit down with somebody because you heard something? I was like, but
I'm sure you've heard of the crabs in a bucket analogy.
Crabs in a bucket.
It's
to
just,
try to bring you down.
Exactly. There's a lot. Unfortunately, there's a lot of people like that. And again, it's just a negative environment that I just try not to be around.
It comes down even with movies sometimes. You ever see somebody be like, they don't go see that movie. That movie was shitty. Or whatever. It was a terrible movie. They're like, nah, I don't want to go see that movie no more. Whatever. But then you go see the movie and the movie's good.
Yeah.
And I think people, I haven't been in an area that long. People have bad and good things to say about everybody.
I will say, before I became more loud in my marketing, it's when I was in my ads, whether I was on TV or those benches you see at bus stops or and those flyers you get in the mail, I would put my face on them, just testing out, and I recognize you're going to get both extremes and from people that you don't know. One extreme is people that absolutely love you for no reason. Like, they have no reason to love me. And people that absolutely hate me. But they have no reason. You know what I mean?
No reason.
People that are neutral in the middle, kind of like yourself. Like, you don't know. You're going to this interview with an eyes wide open, and you're just looking to figure out what the truth is.
I think you should.
Yeah.
Tell you really, I think with life being people and experiences, and this is how I always like that in these podcasts is to give you truth and value and everything, is that I don't, whether you tell me the movie is bad, the food is bad, this person is this or whatever, I don't care what you got to say. I take it intake, you know, because a rumor's a rumor or whatever, but I go off who you showed me to be, you know, and that's how I've gotten a lot of further places in life where I see a movie like, oh, you know, it's a great movie, but you thought it was terrible.
Yeah.
You know, it's to go off how you feel and be more cautious on sharing, not your wins, but sharing things that you want to do with people until you do them. Because people have a way, if you don't have my mindset where like, I don't really care what you guys say or whatever, this is what I'm doing, I just thought you'd be excited for me, whatever. Some people try to bring you down, and that's the reason why you're not doing certain things in life, or you didn't decide to, you know, let's say Scott decided to, I'm 19 or I'm 22 or whatever, and I want to go get my first property. I'm going to tell my best buddy, and I'm like, hey, yo, Brandon, da-da-da-da-da. I'm about to go get my first property. Like, nah, you shouldn't do that. And then you, like, maybe I can't do that. You know, I was like, maybe I don't have that, you know. But
you're the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with.
5.
So if you spend time around really high quality people, you become a high quality person. Or wealthy people, you probably would become wealthy. If you spend your time around people that are addicted to drugs, people that have negative mindsets, you'll probably be the next person. So it's just a function of your circle is Really important. Show me your circle, I'll show you your future. You know?
And you know where there's a line because I was just having this conversation. Yeah. I was like, look, I was like, sit at the table with some of your buddies, bro, and not like you pocket checking or you seen or whatever. I don't care where you at in life as long as you're going up. Like I don't care if you got money, bro. I wear different suits. I can sit down with anybody. I don't care where you at in life, as long as you're going up. If you're not going in this direction, then I don't really want. I might have love for you, but I can't be around you. And we can sit at a table, and I never look at. I just want to see where's your mindset. Where's your mindset? Where's your mindset? If it's going this way, cool. If it's going that way, I can't really be that. But I'm also the same person that 99% agree with. If you're around certain people, you end up like them people. But I also believe I also believe that with not drugs. If you hanging around somebody doing drugs all day, you probably gonna do it. But sometimes I want to say bad seeds in my life or whatever I keep distancing from, but they're not on the right path. But I know that they mean well. But just because they not doing this, I ain't doing it. They say I got friends in the streets. I don't mean I'm gonna be in the street. I'm not gonna be in the street. I got a lovely fiance, like to keep me moving forward. I got great friends. I got a great contact list, I love these guys to death, but yeah. I can't do what you're doing,
It's like the contractors that I hire, a lot of them will do whatever that they do that I don't agree with, but doesn't mean I can't get along. Mm-hmm. Doesn't mean I can't be friends with them. I get along, I just don't, we get along in certain things, and that's an alignment where we have aligned interest in. So you can get something out of everybody, and you can add something to everybody too. Like my contractors, for example, I don't like that they're smoking weed and drinking, but it doesn't make them bad people. It's just like we can get along on like horsing around the job site and having fun with whatever, because that's where we align.
Right.
But because we don't align on like smoking pot and drinking, like that's fine. I don't care. It's just not something I'm going to do. But there's worse examples of that. One of my contractors used to be addicted to meth, and he had to go to a rehab facility. And that's when I first met him, because he was my general contractor subcontractor. Mm-hmm. My first meeting of him, I found like a crack pipe or something on the job site. I was like, dude, like this can't be here. This got to go.
Yeah, gotta go.
So, and that was my first impression of him. And the next thing I knew, my GC is actually taking him, because he's good friends with him, to a rehab center, and this was years ago. I used him on my last job site, and I get along with the guy really well because he got himself course corrected because he's around guys like us. Mm-hmm. He surrounds himself with guys like us and got himself in a good spot. He's got a couple kids. He's got a wife to support. So he became a better version. So he went up. Yeah. I just chose not to go down with him. He just chose to come up. You know what I mean? Yeah. So yeah.
What I like about Scott is Scott not a gatekeeper. There's a lot of gatekeepers in the world, but with people that lose nothing or whatever by sharing information, and like this is a big reason that I started the very first podcast. One, to talk about things with people that are doing things that I have no clue about, but I want to get into, but also to give you guys the sauce, as well. Before I lose lose my thought, is Scott is not a guy that is a gatekeeper, but also he's just a regular guy, that's cool because, let's say when I was on my way here, I was about to leave at the house, I said, what's Scott going to wear to this podcast? And I was like, Scott's in real estate. Scott might come in with a suit. No. He might do all these things. I was like, but maybe he comes in shorts. And I try to align with certain things. And I'm in my dress.
You dressed well.
At first I had my white t-shirt on, my shorts and shit. I was like, nah, Scott probably going to dress in like a suit or something. So I was like, I would put on a tie and stuff and then I was starting to get uncomfortable. I was like, Jeezz, why don't you just be yourself? I was like, you need to just go back to being yourself. I was like, you think you need to be this person, but you don't even know who Scott is. Scott could be this person or whatever the case is. And so I was like, I'm going to put on what I like to put on. I was like, I'm going to put this on with some jeans, still be clean. Yeah. And then I was like, damn, I could have just came in my shorts and I'd been all right.
No, so you dress very neutrally, and that's how I try to dress too. Like, there's a specific reason I do a lot of things when it comes to presentation in front of new people. Yeah. Like one of the things is I drive an F-150. Yeah. All right, it's the most common truck in America is the Ford F-150. Truck. But I bought the nicest trim package because I could pull up to a nice place if it's washed. Yeah. But I could have it dirty and be in the Lower East Side working on a project at the same time.
Oh, you're thinking, yeah.
See what I'm saying? Yeah. So when it comes to my dress, like I'm wearing Crocs, shorts, and a t-shirt. But like usually I wear a quarter zip, but it's just too warm out today. As soon as we're done here, I'm gonna hop on my jet ski and go rip around the lake. So that's like my intent of where I'm going next. But when it comes to, I probably actually should have dressed a little bit nicer for this, but you know.
You're great. Great to have you, Scott.
Yeah, man. Thanks for having me on.
I'm happy. I just seen Scott a couple of days ago, and I was big on like I'm gonna just hit Scott the next day. I was like, this because it might be a recap. I might not see Scott until the gym, and but then Scott was like, yeah, let's do the podcast. Go there. I said, I like guys like that. I was like, oh, I thought he was just busy. I was like, let's just do the Scott podcast.
Great.
He's like, I'm about to go jet ski. I said, I like Scott. Scott like to do fun stuff.
You gotta come out, man.
You know, but yeah, so this was 2 days ago. I seen him, and my great friend Joe was just sitting there with us, and now it's happened. So if you guys have ever had any other questions, leave them in the comments. I'll try to ask Scott again for your guys' questions. That's another episode with Conversation with Jeezz. I do these episodes on feeling. My last podcast I used to do, Scott, was just like I'll just find every people. But this, the reason I haven't done another podcast because I go off how I feel. Like if I'm talking to somebody, I'm like, we should do a podcast, you know, whatever, yo. And I only do stuff like that. And that's something this background scenery is dope for me. But I thought I was pressured before into doing podcasts. Yeah. But when I get in my 40s and 50s, this is the exciting thing I really want to do.
How old are you now?
I'm 36.
Yeah.
You know, but I want how God it brought into my life this year is to, I think we were talking about it a couple of days ago, is the things that I have passions for that I love to do, whether it's podcasts, it has to be giving something back. You know, and this is the reason I love doing the podcast. I love talking. I like getting information. I like meeting new people, bringing new people in my circle, but also sharing the information with you guys for absolutely free. You know, if you guys know me the most, you know, is that where I come from and where I'm at now and how I just built in my and just everything around me. You know, is that you can do whatever you want to do. You know, and you want to jump into real estate. Jump into real estate. You know, you want to jump in flipping your first property, do that. You got negative people in your life that's bring you down every time you got excited, you got something excited about, cut them off. You know, that's my sauce from you guys. You got Scott here. You guys ever need to reach out to somebody, you guys live in Pennsylvania area that, you know, for properties or rent a house, whatever, I'll get you in contact with him.